What's up everyone, I'm back with another deck analysis video. This is another deck that I'm actually giving away real soon, around the same time as the Spirit Charmers deck, which should be up on YouTube already, that video. With this one I thought it might be interesting to go a little bit more in depth on what some of the cards do. And to start right off, you can probably already guess what kind of deck this is going to be if I have this card up top, Jinzo Layered. If you've seen the anime, maybe just even the original series or even just Battle City, you probably know Jinzo, you might have seen it. We'll get to the main card of that real soon. But just like with the Spirit Charmers, this is actually an addition that I made to this deck that I didn't think I would be able to make initially. Because this was a card that I pulled in a completely random pack, as opposed to many of the other cards that had a lot more of the Jinzo archetype. As you can see, it's a limited edition. I think the artwork is just amazing. And obviously its requirements, as you can see, is 2 level 6 monsters. That's obviously referencing Jinzo, the big man himself. So yeah, Jinzo Layered up top right there. Number C39 Utopia Ray 5. Utopia. And those are really some of the very few non-Jinzo specific cards in this deck. We have Law of the Cosmos, which the artwork on this is amazing to me. It's pretty minimalistic in a way. It's just like outer space, but with a person in the middle. And because of how the anime introduced the Jinzo card initially, I can't help but feel like that's Espa Roba in the middle there. The very weird circus kid. And when you look at the effect, like your opponent can set one trap directly from their hand or deck, blah blah blah. It's a pretty useful effect. I'm not going to read it word for word because you can just see it right here. But you can special summon a Jinzo with this, and since the whole focus of this deck is of course the big man himself, Jinzo, that's a very useful effect. Jinzo is honestly one of the most annoying cards to deal with, in my personal experience. I remember that Joey had a Jinzo deck in Legacy of the Duelist, I believe. And it was annoying to deal with all the cancellation of using your trap cards, because if you don't know Jinzo, you can see trap cards and their effects on the field cannot be activated, negate all trap cards on the field. You essentially just shut down 1/3 of Yu-Gi-Oh cards with this card, and that's pretty amazing. Psychic Bouncer. Initially when I pulled this card I remember thinking, oh, that's Reflect Bounder, but that's a different card. As you can see, you can add a Jinzo spell or trap to your hand when this card is summoned. And again, the focus of this deck is, of course, Jinzo. And we'll get to the spell and trap cards a bit later on. Jinzo, the Machine Menace. This is honestly, like, when you read it effect, it sounds extremely useful, because if a trap face up on the field or in either GY, you can special summon this card from your hand. Like, that's ridiculous if there's just a trap on the field or in the grave, and there's almost always traps on the field and in the grave. But yeah, I have 2 of those. Jinzo Ejector, which is a very weakened version of Jinzo. As you can see, its name does become Jinzo, and it has a few other effects as well. And you contribute this card to summon Jinzo from your deck. Like that's just so easy to do. You just summon this card and boom, you get a level 6 2400 attack points monster that cancels all trap cards. Jinzo Lord, the upgraded version of Jinzo. It's a bit more powerful, its effect is a bit more powerful, but it can only be special summoned by tributing Jinzo. who with this deck should be pretty easy to summon out. So Jinzo Lord should also be easy to summon out, which is why I have 3 of them in here. Psychic Megabyte? No, Mega Cyber, sorry. It's sometimes hard for me to read the sparkling names. This card has more to do with spell cards, but at the same time, I believe it is related to Jinzo. Yeah, it is. Because its effect does change when you control a Jinzo. And obviously Jinzo focuses a lot on trap cards, so cards that also focus on spell cards make your opponent even more frustrated. Its attack isn't that high, and it isn't a fantastic monster on its own, but in the right deck it definitely can be used well. Jinzo Returner, another weakened version of Jinzo, can attack directly, and once again you can target a Jinzo in your graveyard, special summon it. It is destroyed during the end phase, but it's another way of bringing out a Jinzo card. And you do need weaker monsters, of course, on the field. This is the only monster that's not directly related to Jinzo. Makiora the Destructor. I think that's actually another nice reference to the anime, because Merrick used this in his deck. When it's destroyed, you can use any trap card from your hand, provided you do need to pay a little bit of a price. But it is a pretty useful card, and especially with Jinzo cancelling out trap cards, because that also applies to your own side of the field. I did think it might be nice to have 2 of these in here. As you can see, if you don't have any Jinzo monsters on the field, or the Jinzo monsters that you do have on the field don't negate trap cards, this is a nice way of using a trap card like directly from your hand. That's always a nice touch. Swords of Revealing Light, for when you don't have enough Jinzos on the field yet. Roulette Spider. This was actually used by Joey against Jinzo, which is kind of why I thought it might be a nice addition to throw in there. It isn't a very, well, it's not a fantastic card, let me just put it like that. Cyber Energy Shock, which I believe is the name of one of the attacks that Jinzo uses. And as you can see, it has a variety of effects. One of them being all Jinzos you control gain 800 attack, and with the number of Jinzos in this deck, that's definitely a boost that they'll appreciate. Which is why I decided to put 3 of them in here. Amplifier, another card used in conjunction with Jinzo, and it can only be equipped to Jinzo. But it essentially it's a booster of his ability, as the name kind of implies. And it's definitely like a useful card to have, because as you can see, negate all trap effects on the field becomes your opponent cannot activate trap effects. Like essentially, Jinzo's biggest drawback is that you can't use trap cards yourself, and with this, you can use trap cards again, but your opponent still can't. Cosmo Channeling. That's definitely a reference to the anime. Like the contour of this guy is Esparoba, who played Jinzo for the first time in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. But it wasn't the last time we saw Jinzo. Jinzo has appeared in a number of decks, I believe even in the sequel series GX. And it's just another Jinzo support card. Next up, Everlasting Alloy. Jesus, that took way too long to read. I really like the artwork on this. It shows a number of different Jinzos. I have no idea what they're doing actually. It looks like they're fighting. This guy is fighting. There's something happening over here, and this guy is just all menacing, looking like the messed up cyborg burn victim that he is. And yes, that is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged reference. Another card that has multiple effects, one that applies to all machine type monsters, and you do need a Jinzo for it to use it on the field. And again, I have 3 copies of that. Monster Reborn, always a nice card to have. If your opponent ever gets rid of a Jinzo card, just bring them back. Screw them. There are a few trap cards in this. I actually debated putting any trap cards in it, but with the effects of Amplifier, you can use trap cards, and there are still trap cards that are very Jinzo specific as well. This one being one of them, Psychic Shockwave. You see Jinzo in the middle there, blasting a Psychic Shockwave, I'm presuming. And as you can see, when your opponent activates a trap card, you can discard a spell trap card and special summon 1 level 6 dark machine monster from your deck, which is definitely meant to be Jinzo, but you can use other monsters as well. So if all your monsters fail, you have no monsters left or something like that, just play this card and you get another Jinzo, and another one, and another one. Then we have a nice hollow Mirror Force, Dust Tornado, in case just negating the effects of your opponent's trap cards wasn't enough, and you decide, I really want to destroy one of them, Dust Tornado can help you with that. Impenetrable Attack, another one with multiple abilities, depending on the battle phase. And finally, Puzzle Reborn. Exactly 1 monster you control is destroyed by a card effect, target that monster and special summon that target. So one of the ways of obviously destroying the Jinzo would be with a spell card, and if that happens, you can just bring him back with this card. So that's it for the Jinzo deck that I'm hopefully giving to one of my friends soon. And I really hope they appreciate it, obviously. But yeah, this was definitely a fun deck to build, because this wasn't based on any structure decks. So I had to build this one just from pack pulls, Jinzo cards that I had, which is why there's differing numbers of how many copies of each card I have, and like especially this Jinzo layered card. This one is the most recent card that I pulled in this deck, and it was in a pack that I didn't even know had Jinzo cards. It wasn't even in the pack itself. I believe it was a promotional card in a Dragons of Legend booster box, but it's definitely like a really nice addition. Its artwork is amazing. It's a limited edition, which I think is just a nice touch when you're giving a deck as a gift. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your favorite card was. If you liked the video, please hit the like button and subscribe. And that's going to be it for me. I'm out. Peace.